Hello again from Thinking Caps. I'm Tim Glomb, the VP of Content at Cheetah Digital, joined as always by my co-host, Richard Jones, CMO at Cheetah Digital. And today we have a very special guest, someone we've been trying to get onto the show for quite a while, but he's just so busy making great things happen. But today we have him, Kazi, the CEO of Cheetah Digital. Richard, finally it happened.
It's finally happened. We're glad to have you on. And thank you very much for wearing a cap.
Oh, yeah.
Hey guys, it's great to see the both of you. And first of all, before we get started, let me just say congratulations on Thinking Caps. It's a concept that the both of you sort of came up with the idea, launched it. You've had some incredible guests on. Maybe I'll pitch the first question to the both of you. Who's been your favorite guest so far and why?
Oh, that is a good question.
That's not a fair question because it's like, who's my favorite child?
That is a good question. I very much enjoyed the chat with Adam Stewart, the Chief Digital Officer of StarHub, purely because right now being a CDO is in a sort of it's the hot seat of hot seats because of all the digital acceleration. So that was really, really interesting.
No, that's a good one. And I'll take this opportunity to say everyone has been great. Tom Flanagan, former EVP at Leo Burnett, Scott McNeely, just Dan Gertzikoff there's a ton of people. So go check out the whole list. We're on iTunes, by the way. If you're not watching us on iTunes, Thinking Caps on iTunes. But
Michael Stutz, the Chief Customer Officer
Glomb and
Glomb and Brands, he was also, that was a great chat. I mean, they've all been good.
Great. They're all great. All right. So now we quiz you.
I was going to rep today with my Iron Maiden hat, but I found my Cheetah Digital hat. So what better way to do Thinking Caps than with the Cheetah Digital hat?
All right. Next time.
Oh, and Tim,
Iron Maiden.
We've actually forgot to say that our chairman was one of the best.
Oh, yeah. So Peter McCormick was just like blew my mind away. Forgot about it.
All right. Great. Well, let's dig in, actually, because there's a few things we want to ask you. So let's start with being the CEO of Cheetah Digital, right? You didn't come out of college and get that job. There's been 2 decades of experience in the industry, which has had you working at former leaders in their space like ExactTarget. You ended up obviously in Salesforce through that acquisition. You've worked at a number of different companies, and you've had roles right across the spectrum, sales, services, etc. So I really wanted to ask you, can you tell us a little bit about your personal journey to, how you came to sit where you are today as the CEO of Cheetah Digital?
First of all, thanks for asking that question. And I'm grateful not just to have an opportunity to share that, but really grateful for all the incredible people, mentors and guides that I've met along my own personal journey over the years. It's really been incredible. I started off in digital marketing at a tiny little company based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, that some of you know, called ExactTarget. And when I first joined ExactTarget, they were a company that was slightly less than $50 million in revenue. They had a few hundred employees. And I was fresh out of B school after having spent a decade or so doing work in the technology space in all different types of companies, with roles that were primarily focused on serving customers, whether it was biz dev or account management or delivery or something like that. But my time at ExactTarget was super formative for me because I came into it sort of thinking to myself, boy, Samir, really, like, it's 2008. Is email marketing really the thing that you want to get into? And, like most people, if you ever tell them at a party, if you're at a party and someone asks you what you do, and if you were to say, I'm in digital marketing as sort of the umbrella statement, but then they want to dive in a little bit and you say, well, all of those email that you get from Williams-Sonoma, we send those billions of emails. And they're like, oh, so you're a spammer. Right? Like that's the preconception that a lot of people have about what the industry is about. So it takes time then to explain to them, no, that's what we did. But in 2008, it was sort of the mindset with which I came into the business, and wrongfully trivializing it. It didn't take me very long to change my point of view because I worked with really incredible people. And my boss in particular at the time back then said to me something that was very important. He said, I know you think we're some sort of a mid-market email marketing company, but really what we are is a data company. And below the waterline is this incredible enterprise class work that we're doing on data management for brands, not just where we store the data, but how we make all of the data actionable. And email is just the first channel above the waterline that we're executing against. It took me a while to like get under the covers and really understand what he was saying when he said that. And the rest of the journey at ExactTarget was both blessing and blur, and just incredible learnings as part of that process. Again, incredible people to work with. It wasn't long during my tenure at ExactTarget before I realized that I didn't really understand customers and their use cases as deeply as someone with my level of seniority in the business. I was responsible for professional services and making sure that clients were successful with the solutions that they had bought via technology, marketing, consulting, deliverability, et cetera. I found that I didn't really understand that well. And for most of us, that insecurity, that deep down inside where you're like, I kind of think I'm faking my way through it. That's a terrible feeling to have. And the only antidote to that feeling is you've got to go deep, right? And I'll just, since you asked me about my personal story, I'll share a personal anecdote that really helped to shape how I thought about what my personal role was and what the teams that worked with me and how they should be oriented against customers. I remember being in a very important meeting with a very large sports manufacturer, sitting at a table with their head of global CRM, my boss, my entire team, and me. And this woman, very intimidating, very powerful, lots of clout in an organization that was big and global, looks directly at me and says, okay, we understand this next set of things that we're going to do together. One of them is abandoned shopping cart. I think back to it now, it's so trivial. She said, abandoned shopping cart. Hey, Samir, tell me, how are you going to do that? And a little bead of sweat ran down my back at the time. And I went directly to all the process. I was like, oh, well, we assign a project manager and an architect, and then they come in and do the requirements gathering. Like, it was all this like surface level stuff. And to her credit, she came at me again. And I was dumbfounded. This is very early on in my career there. I was dumbfounded. And my boss immediately picked it up and he answered the question. He goes, well, where we have this tag that we place on your website, or we collect data from Omniture, and then we look at those people that have abandoned, and we consolidate that data in our systems, blah, 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 blah. That all of the stuff that somebody goes, oh, these guys know what abandoned shopping cart is. Remember, this is 2009 at the time, right? To say that I was embarrassed, like I felt it deep inside me, would be an understatement. And I just never want to feel that way again. And what I value is the no BS approach, the no faking it approach to how one delivers value to customers, how you can be both authentic, have a deep desire to learn, the curiosity to understand, to ask questions when you don't know it, but then leverage what you do know with what you're learning to help customers be better, to help them achieve their goals. It's something that I value in everyone that I meet. And it's the ethos with which I want to live my life. And selfishly, I want everybody who works with me to feel that way, that excitement, that curiosity, and the need to serve with knowledge. I want everybody to feel that way.
It's pretty interesting when you first come into business. Being a young person, you spend the first part of your career trying to pretend that you know stuff because you feel embarrassed if you don't. And actually, the longer you go on in your career, the more you embrace not knowing, and it's amazingly cathartic to be cognizant of what you don't know and actually embrace that as an opportunity to learn and be curious.
Sure. And just say, hey, hold on a second.
Yeah, let me ask some dumb questions. So totally with you there. Now, I know you've got a question.
Yeah, I do. Well, and that segues kind of where I wanted to go, because I'm relatively new to Cheetah, 6 months in. I was at Signals last year, but I want to ask you this. You're currently the CEO of Cheetah Digital, but
World's largest independent marketing company, software company. Yeah.
I mean, come on. So it's only been 3 years since you've spun out of Experian, and we have clients like Starbucks and Discovery and GSK and P&G and Williams-Sonoma and all those that we've mentioned. But really, Cheetah's customer engagement suite was launched at Signals last year, September 2019. And that's, we say that it gives the customer a single view of their customer data, powerful tools to activate and engage audiences at any point in the journey. Can you really tell us the genesis of that and the evolution of this consumer engagement suite, the CES, and what it really stands for marketers? Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, for sure.
You've got 2 minutes starting now.
Look, the company that we bought from Experian, who, by the way, are still shareholders in the business, and the Experian CEO, Brian Casson, is on our board. We love working with Brian. He's a terrific guy, super knowledgeable, great businessman. The company that we bought has this 20-year legacy of email marketing, digital marketing, and serving the biggest, most sophisticated brands in the world. And in the past, I've competed against, and to have the privilege of being at the helm of that business and helping to evolve that business has been one of the greatest things I've ever done professionally. I'm really loving my time at Cheetah Digital, and I love the people that we work with. I love our customers. It's been fantastic. After I left Salesforce and before we jumped into Cheetah Digital, I'd sort of been disconnected from the industry for 3 or 4 years. And our thesis when we bought the business was pretty simple. We looked at the existing products and we thought, to really have this company be a home run, what we need to do is improve some of the products. We already had some incredible data management capabilities. Our messaging capabilities at scale are unmatched in the industry. They're incredible. But what we felt like there's some work that needed to get done on the UI and in workflow. And what we felt was that if we did that work, a couple of really important things would happen. The analysts would recognize that work and give us the right kudos for it, number one. Number two, that we'd at least get a look at every deal that was in the marketplace and be able to win, proportional to all the rest of the marketing clouds that are in the market. And that just those now seemingly simple things, I can say that for, looking back at 3 years ago, those things would allow us to succeed as a business. And our very first week at the company was at Experian's customer conference in 2017 in Las Vegas. So my first days at the company was in Las Vegas on stage with team members all across the world. And then, users and customers who had come to that conference announcing Cheetah Digital, announcing everything we were doing with the company. And one of the things I remember is that first week, someone stopped me and they said, hey, there's this XYZ partner is in the partner area, and they're a CDP, this 2017, remember? And Samir, what do you think about CDPs? And I didn't know what a CDP was. Boy, there's a lot of things I don't know. I was like, I didn't know what a CDP was. And I just said, oh yeah, well, what do they do? Oh, they manage, lots of data and they help marketers understand data. I'm like, we do that. We do that at crazy scale. We probably manage more data than anybody else in the market. We manage like 10 plus petabytes of data on behalf of our customers all across the world. Why are we even talking about this? And it just, that cadence didn't stop. Every week somebody would ask me about a CDP until we kicked off a project internally with a product manager and a biz dev person to really go understand the CDP space. And what I realized was what was missing in our thesis was how data had evolved over the years. Hadoop, what a difference that big data had made in marketing. And so many startups, so many young companies that were trying to solve problems in the market were spinning up businesses very quickly because they had access to Hadoop and cloud technologies, and they were doing interesting things with real-time data and streaming data, et cetera. And we were expert at batch data, but we didn't really understand what big data and cloud-based systems were like for the modern age. We did some research, And we ended up doing an acquisition shortly after buying the company. And what that acquisition was really was a terrific company called Stellar Loyalty. And it was both a technology and a talent deal. Really, the people that came along with the deal are some of the best leaders we have in the business today. And then the technology has been instrumental in helping shape the evolution of the customer engagement suite, not just in the way that we manage data. Their core technologies allowed us to give birth to the engagement data platform, our next generation data management platform that manages batch data at scale, real-time streaming data, any kind of data that a customer can imagine, including having a single customer view, the golden record. We've added AI on top of that, et cetera. But we got that. The entire world, it's a little bit of inside baseball here, the entire world understood this as we bought a loyalty company, but we bought some incredible technology, and we have the great privilege of working with some incredible people at Stellar. But we also did get a loyalty product. We became one of the solutions. And if you bear with me, we did one more acquisition, this incredible company called Weigh-In. Hello, Richard. And the Weigh-In acquisition was born of the fact that we had customers asking us some very important questions. I remember being with customers who would say to us, hey, Samir, we have a big problem. And the problem is, our email database is X millions of people. And that's good. But we can tell that our fan base is like 10 times as big as that. And we want to know these people. We want to be able to market to them. How do we solve that problem? This is a classic digital marketing problem of acquisition. How do you drive acquisition, subscription, subscribers, and get them into your database? And I just remember we always tap danced around the answer to that problem, right? It was always like, hey, well, we've got some marketing consultants who can come up with some tactics to help you think about in-store signage or mobile and how that could help you. But that problem was never directly attacked until that question the customer posed that question to me. My answer in classic Samir fashion was, I don't know. I don't know how to solve that problem. I'm going to think a lot about it. And I did. I spent a bunch of months thinking about it until one day another former client of mine came to me and said, hey, you should really talk to this company called Weigh-In. They're doing some really interesting stuff around zero-party data. I had no idea what zero-party data was at the time, around acquisition and progressive profiling. And because it was a customer who I valued a lot, made that ask, I set up some time with Richard, and he and I had our first meeting together. And my mind was blown, because what the Weigh-In product, which is now Cheetah Experiences, by the way, what that product does is it hits every one of the problems and then some of what that original client talked to me about. Acquisition, check. It's a marketer-friendly product that allows you to drag and drop 80 plus customizable experiences onto a canvas for a marketer, not an IT person, for a marketer to set up that experience and then publish that experience in a content block, in a digital ad, in an Instagram feed, anywhere in social, as a landing page, and use that as a way of creating affinity with consumers that already love your brand, that want to share more with you so that they can also get some benefit out of that value exchange. You give them something, they give you something, that value exchange, and then use that to drive permission and increasing your database size and acquisition and progressive profiling in interesting, non-creepy ways. We did that. We acquired Weigh-In. Again, great technology, great talent. Lots of people at Weigh-In. Richard, you're a prime example of this. Very senior leaders inside of the business now, doing great things, helping our overall mission forward. But when you step back and look at that suite of solutions, you realize what you have is you have a life cycle set of solutions for the first party data marketer that go all the way from acquisition to promotions to loyalty, and they're underpinned by this engagement data platform. And the whole goal of all of this is optimization of customer lifetime value. And the reason this is important is because in doing this, in launching the CES at our Signals event last year, what we've effectively done is we've taken a company that has a 20-year legacy in really interesting messaging at scale and evolved that company with the times to be a business, to be a solutions provider that can really help first-party data marketers, digital marketers tackle the sets of things they want to tackle today, a la personalization, a la optimization of customer lifetime value, loyalty, acquisition, et cetera.
So I got an interesting perspective here, and I think it ties to what you said previously, which was, that ability to ask questions and to assume, that you be cognizant of what you don't know and be curious, ask simple questions. When you have that mentality, you uncover things that need to be solved, right? Yeah. And what I really liked about the customer engagement suite, coming from, having set up a company, and then, we had options. And what I was drawn to Cheetah Digital about was actually the vision. And the vision was being uncovered because you were asking these questions of customers to find out these gaps and put together a platform that was meeting a need. And there's no better way of being able to sort of judge that the mission is what people are joining this company for than the fact that you've got a set of different founders now that have joined the company. Most acquisitions, they're out 6 weeks later, and every single person is here. They're completely bought into the mission. And the reverse is also true. So when we were at Weigh-In, we were creating these experiences, going off and collecting all of these, opt-in data for customers, learning about people's preferences and desires, interests, with the backdrop of privacy, right? Because you can't just buy this data anymore. You need to get it direct from consumers. And we were collecting all this data, but then our customers are going, "That's great, you've got this data, but could you trigger some messaging based on certain things for us?" And you're like, "Well, I know we can't do that because we're not a messaging platform." Saying, "Oh yeah," and also the more that we learn about people, it's just fantastic. It's driving all these business results. But yeah, if we could message people triggered off the back of it, and also give some sort of gamification and loyalty so that we could drive people back over time and look at the CLV, that would be amazing. And so, we were seeing that from customer requirements. So when we met Samir, it was the easiest, meeting of minds one could possibly imagine. And I know that was the case with the guys from Stellar Loyalty. And, to your credit, you now have a Forrester leading loyalty platform. You've got one of the top 10 CDPs in the market in terms of most features. You've got a Forrester leading messaging platform with the 25% of revenue that you're pumping into R&D. So with the company of our size, that's massive amount of dollars into innovation. And then you've got the Cheetah Experiences product to boot, which is, Forrester and other analysts are really big fan of. So you've assembled a world-class platform. So congratulations to you, because I know it's not easy.
Hey, thanks for saying that. It's been a fantastic journey to date. It's going to get even better as we go along. And then just two comments I want to make. One is, in the past, I'd never really thought about loyalty and the impact that loyalty was having on customer lifetime value for marketers. It's such a no-brainer. Our product, as you said, is best of breed. It's a leader in the Forrester loyalty wave. What you alluded to this idea of engagement with customers around solutions. One thing I'm really proud of about our company, and it's a thing that we can do uniquely that not a lot of other companies in the market can do. What we really value is the ability to partner with our customers to build solutions for categories, for industries. Because the type of solution that you need in an industry, there's some commonality to it, whether it's in healthcare or in airlines or in quick serve restaurants for loyalty specifically. And we believe that our success is tied to customer success, and to that products need to, in certain industries, product need to behave and feel and do certain things. We're committed to partnering with our customers and evolving our products for their industries with input from them. And it's very hard to do that with companies that are either very, very small or very, very large. With a large company, you just can't get the attention. And in small companies, they don't have the financial wherewithal to go do that for a broad base of customers. And I take a lot of pride in being able to do that. I'm really happy about that. The the piece around experiences that I thought was really interesting, and I'll tease one other thought here. The thing that I thought was really interesting was this. It was the idea that as privacy becomes so important, and as it's clear that marketers are sort of the caretaker of that privacy for many brands, and Europe's led the way, there's no question about it, that the adoption of the Cheetah Experiences product in Europe, the fact that it really took off over there has not surprised me one bit. Many European brands, EMEA brands, are leading the way around privacy and how to deal with consumers in a healthy, non-creepy manner. In the US, in particular, a lot of that thinking is coming to light now. The most forward-looking brands are thinking about that, the idea of engaging with customers in a smart, in a ethical, in a privacy-centric manner. But I think there's still a lot of work to be done in the US across many, many brands. I feel like our solution set, and specifically our experiences product, is a tip of the spear for many brands across the US to think about privacy and consumer habits and engaging customers in interesting ways to derive that value exchange. I think there's a lot of work to be done in America around that topic in particular.
Oh, it's growing. I mean, I've been living in that space before I got here, and yeah, there's a lot to that, and we're going to dig into that. I want to dig into that with you, but I have another question. Can I ask another question?
Go for it.
Okay. This one's kind of gets into the weeds a little bit, but right now there's a lot of talk around consumer journey, right? Marketers are always talking about a better consumer journey and orchestrating my journeys for the consumer, and MarTech kind of focuses on that. But it's usually based on like predefined journeys that a marketer wants to go, right? Yep. My website at my agency said, consumers don't give a shit about your marketing plan, get over it. Right? And that's just, right. I believe that. So, yeah. But when it comes to technology and getting people over that, every consumer is unique. So each consumer has a different goal. They want to be, put on different, their own experience path, et cetera. How are we dealing with that at Cheetah? Like, what's our differentiation and vision in the technology to help marketers empower truly unique customer experiences on this journey? What's your vision there?
So much to unpack over there. I'll try to keep it succinct.
Yeah, keep it.
The idea of the customer journey is, I think, was a fantastic concept about this idea of influencing how customers, how they engage with certain moments of truth with brands, and then how the brand influences those moments of truth to become something really great for the consumer and great for the brand. Right? That's the concept of it, but the implementation of it in the market has been not exactly that. The implementation has really been an automation implementation. So it's a series of steps that one would go through. Hey, if someone visited the website and they abandoned, then observe, wait for 3 days, and then send them an email saying, hey, you abandoned, but would you like this 10% offer? And then if they don't respond, wait for another 3, like you get what I'm saying. There's just a series of steps. That's not a journey. That's just an automation. Something becomes a journey when one has the wherewithal, the patience to observe first, just really observe what consumers are doing across all your brand touch points, website, email engagement, if you have any, mobile, et cetera, social. What are consumers that what are they doing across this landscape? And then the real impact towards customer lifetime value and value exchange, by the way, happens when you're able to influence the customer or the consumer or the person in that moment or in that channel or at that step in an interesting way. Doing that is hard. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's not a lot of people doing it. And so if I just rewind 3 years ago, one of the very first sort of things that were thrown up in terms of deficiency in our product set was that, hey, you don't have a quote unquote journey builder of sorts. But that wasn't technically true. We have really excellent enterprise class automation and segmentation capabilities. We just didn't have them show up in the product visually so that a marketer could put some boxes together and draw lines between them. And the reason we didn't was because the work that we did for brands that was real automation was so complex that it didn't show up in a series of boxes connected by lines. It showed up as code, a code that you could derive in the software itself, which is great. We recognize the fact that this idea of really influencing the journey is important. Doing it visually is also important, but it's important from the point of view of there are probably a dozen use cases that we can make super easy for marketers by saying, here's a journey use case that you can just activate, enter in the variables, and it just works and produces revenue, period. We're launching that product in a month, and I'm really excited about that. As a matter of fact, we just had a lunch and learn about it today to give a preview to our entire company about it. So excited about it. That's a no-brainer, but it's the thing that's right above the waterline. It's the stuff that's below the waterline that's really interesting, because true journey management at scale for marketers has nothing to do with boxes and lines. It has to do with how the machine helps you think about decisioning at every step of the process and at every moment of truth, orchestration, if you will. There's some incredible companies doing point solutions in orchestration out there. But when you bring all of this together, so our engagement data platform, now where you store information about individuals and their preferences and all of their historical data, and then you can orchestrate a journey for that person, first by observing how they behave, and then by making little tweaks. That's the path to optimization of customer lifetime value. And this idea of orchestration, in my opinion, that's the future of personalization. Yeah. Personalization is not A/B testing. It's not even multivariate testing. Yeah. Personalization is based on an individual, what you know about that individual, and then how you can optimize what your machine can predict will happen with that individual. That's next generation personalization via decisioning and orchestration. We're leading in building products that we'll have in the market here in the next 9 months that I think are going to be super exciting. And they're even more exciting because they're part of a platform that enables marketers not to buy individual solutions and then figure out how to use APIs to tie all of them together. It's part of a solution set that you can just get off the shelf from us as part of our customer engagement suite.
No, and that's a great point. And I think in terms of the marketing landscape, the vendor landscape as a whole, Cheetah Digital has been committed to delivering 25% of the revenues, per year into R&D and innovation, which, if anyone works in the SaaS industry, that is a heck of a large amount of money to be putting towards innovation and R&D. And frankly, it's wonderful to be in a place where innovation is coming that thick and fast. And we've seen that in the recent spate of analyst reports covering the product areas in the customer engagement suite. So, we mentioned leader in the Forrester email marketing wave, leader in the Forrester loyalty platforms wave, top 10 supplier in the customer, the CDP Institute ranking of vendors in terms of the most features. We've just been announced as a challenger in Gartner's multichannel marketing hub, and that was the year over year was the fastest growing vendor. And where are we going to be next year? I think we're innovating faster than the entire segment, in my opinion. So,
and don't forget, also one of the only companies recognized by Forrester to actually collect, as we talked about, acquire
the zero-party
data at scale.
So you've got all these kind of point solutions that are getting best of breed recognition. My question for you is, how do you view our place in the overall kind of landscape of marketing software vendors, with the point solutions on one hand and the marketing clouds on the other?
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I'm so proud of all those accolades that you mentioned. I'm so proud of the teams at Cheetah Digital that have worked hard, not just to build those products, but also work closely with analysts to get those across the line. It's a non-trivial effort. So caps off to all of you guys in making that happen. I have to tell you, I have a ton of respect for young companies that are doing innovative things in the market, trying to solve difficult problems with limited resources and trying to impact the state of the market. I have a ton of respect for them. There's so many exciting companies out there that are solving really tough and interesting problems. The challenge that a lot of these young companies have is at some point, unless they can break through the glass ceiling of whether it's ARR or product market fit, whatever the case might be, to truly get themselves to a place where they're a platform for their customers, it's very tough to scale those. Now, many of those businesses will be successful in their own right. They have excellent valuations. I wish them the very best. But in terms of practically solving problems for customers, it's very tough to become a platform. We're a platform because of the way we think about data and integrated solutions built on top of our engagement data platform. And the key word there is integrated solutions built on top of the data platform. What the marketing clouds, where they've lost their way in the last couple of years is, they've acquired some of these really interesting point solutions in the market, but what they've not done well is integrated them to create a holistic solution for marketers. They've also made bets, and kudos to them, they've got the resources to be able to do it. They've made bets in lots of places, but I feel like they've lost focus on the marketer. And the pride that I take, and we all take at Cheetah Digital, is that we're dedicated to marketers. We're here to serve the marketer, solve really difficult problems, but not as point solutions, as a platform. There are things that are happening in the customer lifecycle that marketers need to impact. There's people at customers responsible for this entire piece of business, and they need solutions to help them do that. And that's exactly what we do. And I think we fulfill something in the market that neither the marketing clouds do very well today, nor the point solutions in the market.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, hey, look, that's why I'm here, right? I was one of those guys stitching things together for my clients going, oh my gosh, this is a mess of spaghetti. You know, it's raining on my marketing parade. Your cloud is raining on my marketing parade. So yeah, I love it. I'm all in. But
The caveat that I think is what really gives Cheetah Digital not only a sense of mission and purpose, but the ability to actually execute on it, is that Cheetah Digital hasn't been going out acquiring 15-year-old companies and 15-year-old tech, and then trying to stitch, these very mature business leaders together. Yeah. That's a tricky thing to do. The technology, just the underpinning technology, is so mature, such different stacks, very hard to do. We've been doing it with the acquisition of the talent and this raw capability and building it consistently around an EDP. And actually all the acquisitions make sense. It's moving to this first-party data marketer, and it's not let's just buy up everything because there's interesting revenue lines and then call it a cloud. I think that's a really important differentiator.
Well, as somebody who was on, on the outside using Weigh-In and now seeing the suite, it's impressive, the integration and the native orchestration and the things that do happen holistically on the platform, not moving from A to B to C to D, all holistically. And it's great to see clients. And if you're watching this and you haven't demoed the customer engagement suite, take a half an hour. You'll understand what you have today, what you could have, and what really the future looks like. So I'm all in on it.
Well,
I like your pitch, Tim. I love that. If I could make my own pitch, it would be this. If you're either a customer or prospect and you're watching this and you just want to talk about your marketing program, and what we've learned with the decades of experience that we've had in the industry and how we think about technology and its use of problems, I want you to reach out to me. I want to talk to you. I'm super excited about doing that. I'm sure there are plenty of people just like charging forward at Cheetah Digital who want to do the same with you. But more than anything, I'm excited to have those conversations with you.
Awesome. There you go. And I'll extend an offer as a CMO that if anyone does reach out to you direct, they'll get that Cheetah Digital hat or a version of a very, very similar hat like it.
Well, And listen, I've got a lot of other questions. Obviously, there's a lot we could ping Samir with. We're over a half an hour. We've taken up enough of your time. Let's save some questions for next time and that Iron Maiden hat. I'll bring my Iron Maiden tour shirt. You bring the hat. And Richard, he's the Brit. He can go over there and run around like Bruce Dickinson with a British flag.
I want an intro music next time, guys.
Oh, yeah, you're on it. All right, great. This has been awesome. Thanks, Samir. Thinking Caps, find us on iTunes. You can find us at cheetahdigital.com. And as we mentioned in the beginning, tons of previous guests that you need to go and check out. Thanks, guys.
Talk
to you soon.
It's been great, gents. Thank you.